It's the story of a small community of people trying to survive the new conditions of a kind of freedom that emancipation made possible just 40 years before. So we have a young man by the name of Citizen Barlow who has been in Pittsburgh for 4 weeks after escaping north from Alabama. He is a man without a home, he's a man without a community, and he's a man in trouble who comes to this house at 1839 Wiley, seeking the help of Aunt Esther, seeking absolution for trouble that he has found himself in. And what the play becomes about is, how do we make ourselves whole when we have been broken? And how do we reckon our brokenness with the history of this country? And so what Aunt Esther basically guides him towards is to a fuller understanding of his own relationship to African American history in this country at that time in 1904 when the play is set. He then has to make choices based on his reconciliation with history and his own participation in the brutality that our American reality has brought out in so many of us across the race divides. This cast and the history that exists in this cast alone. You know, we have glorious Rose Weaver, Ricardo Pitts Wiley, and Joe Wilson Jr., among others, working together on this play. And the depth of their respect for one another, the depth of their artistry really is remarkable to watch. There's a kind of honesty in the work that they're all doing together that feels just irreplaceable. What parallels exist between the play and now? We're coming off of a time of unrest. And well, actually, no, we're still in a time of unrest, right? And the play is set in a moment of unrest. And all of the questions that are brought about by the unrest that exists in the place still haunt us now. We're still trying to figure out what the place of African Americans and other minorities are in this country, what our relationship is to justice, what our relationship is to those ideals of freedom that get expounded, but often we find out the reality of them is much more complicated in our lived experiences. All of us in the process and all of us getting to be in the audience really get to live with the questions that we're grappling with now. What does it mean to be a citizen? Right? August Wilson is so pointed about how he names his characters and what those characters then say, do, and represent in the work. Aunt Esther says, "It will all come to stand in the light." And it feels like the big lesson of the play is, do we have the capacity to speak the truth and to therefore take responsibility for our participation in that history, in the making of new history that we are a part of now. I hope that audiences get to look deep into their own personal history, into the history of their families, into the history of their communities, and really reckon with what does it mean for us to be in this place now, to really reckon with the totality of it, to see the whole of it, and from that point of view, to put ourselves in the middle and say, what is my responsibility and what is my capacity to participate in creating a new history, a new reality that can recognize one another a bit more generously.